Hi all. I'm recording this in the same day as the first one, but this will be published tomorrow. And I'm going to talk about my military history, so you all understand what I went through. First of all, in my country, everybody is drafted, or in this particular case, to be clear, only the men are drafted. And the most annoying religious groups are exempt. The most loud philosophies are exempt, so it's basically only for the main stock of men in the country. And you get this drafty paper when you're 17, telling you to show up at the military center when you're 18. And I went completely normally, and they assigned me to a engineering battalion where I was going to specialize as a medic. And they basically were alright. It wasn't a bad place. It was a little rough, but military is a little rough. It's nothing to worry about. But I didn't complete my service. I signed off after 12 days. And the main event that caused me to sign off was a few days before I left, or signed off. I heard the company COs, or actually NCOs, or the sub-officers, 3 of them, walk in the public from our barracks to the food area. And they were talking loudly amongst themselves about the female recruit who had signed up voluntarily and calling her whore. And this was to each other in public, loudly. So first I let this slip, and then I started to think about what I actually saw. And I thought that these people have nothing to show me about being a military person or being an honorable person. They could have taken their concerns to the recruit. They could have taken them to the commanding officers, or they could have just shut themselves the fuck up. But they thought it was fun to talk about a recruit behind her back to the group amongst themselves. To me, this is the action of gossip girls. It's not a military thing, not what you would do in a military situation. You wouldn't allow that kind of behavior to basically destroy group cohesion. Now, I have no problems with a person in the military service, your commanding officer, telling you to your face that you are whatever, because that is part of the job. You have to be able to withstand pressure. But that, to me, was closer to treason than pressure. It was company commanding officers destroying group morale. You can trust these people to have your back when your back is turned. You know that they will stab a knife in it. You absolutely know that they will betray you behind your back. They will not talk to you. They will talk behind your back. They will be the loose lips that sink the ships. When I spent a few days, I realized that I can't stand these people. This is not a place for me. So I thought to myself, should I report this to my commanding officer, the major or whatever he was? And I thought that it isn't my job to wash these people's mistakes. They proved their core to me, and there's nothing more. There's nothing to wash. There's nothing for me to do there, so I signed up for the conscientious objector package and left. So about a year later, I was in the conscientious objectors civil service class, and I was in the classroom for a month. They teach you about the history of the armed services and the civil services and so on and so forth. And after that, I spent 2 months in the facility working. I tried different jobs like cleaning, kitchen work, yard work and so on and so on. And it was fun. It was a very good summer. And just as I was about to start looking for a job as the autumn was coming in and I didn't want to spend the winter in a very, let's say, poor facility, the person in charge of the facility, because this is the place where all the civil service people, the conscientious objector civil service, all of them are assigned unless they get a job somewhere else. So the guy who was leading this place was promoted to be the whatever of some other town or something. It was, I think it's city councilor or something. And he was going to get a bonus on how few service people are there. So it was clearly a case of him being rewarded for us being able to get jobs. That was the intent, that he would be rewarded on how well we got our jobs and how well we got to the society and how well we could help people. And he discharged basically criminally a lot of people to get a higher bonus, and he was doing it to me as well, so I kinda knew what was going on. And I was taken to the doctor's office, and the doctor asked to perform a physical on me, and it was a good physical. The doctor said that there's no health problems. All the problems are between the administration and the service person. There's no health issues. And I thanked the doctor and took the paper to the company or the whoever runs the place. And I gave it to him as he asked, and he said that with this paper he will sign a postponement of my service. And I asked on what grounds, because there's no medical ground, and he just said that, go home and grow up. So I was discharged and told to come back 2 years later and continue my service. And I appealed to the court and said that it's an illegal discharge. They had no medical grounds, and the court agreed with me and sent me back to the center. And by this time the person was gone. He was somewhere else, so he got his bonus and left. And I then refused to do more service, specifically more service, on the date of my original discharge. So I simply said that that was an illegal discharge. There was no grounds for it, and there was no legal way to keep it binding. It wasn't in the law. It was just that person's order for me to resume my service at home, so I left. This was the second time, or rather, the second time I was out of the service, of the civil service. And the police showed up at my house, and I wasn't there at the time, and my parents explained to them that this service is over. He's not going to go back to the service because it was illegal. And the police accepted this and said that I would need to appear in the court, and this would be going through the court system. And for the next 4 years, it went through the courts. We battled, and we lost, and I was sent to the prison for the people who completely refused to do armed service of any sort. And when in prison, I told them that I will be appealing to the president personally, that I will be writing appeal and asking the president if it is right for a staffer of his, or hers in this case, a staffer or an employee of hers, to forge documents. After all, the release order had not been medically binding, and the only order they gave me was one where the doctor's signature spot read for the doctor, and then the secretary's name, that was the secretary of the boss of the facility, so that they were doing it for the doctor. The doctor said that this was going to be good, but they didn't perhaps realize that I had the doctor's thing memorized and I had it with me. The doctor said that there's no reason, so the only paper they had was one that was signed by a secretary and not a doctor. So at that point, I went to a hunger strike. I said that the president has to say something. This isn't okay. And the president said that none of these cases had ever come to her because the 6 months that she would spend in prison is such a short time that the staffers don't have enough time to get all the cases together, so none of them had ever gotten to her. And I said that I will go on a hunger strike. I will speed the process up because there's nothing else for me to do. I will not accept this. And after 30 days, 32 officially, I was given notice that the president would be saying something about my case, that they would be taking it to the court. So I stopped my hunger strike and continued eating. And about 15 days later, I was notified that the president had pardoned me. So the president said that I am free from more service. The pardoning paper clearly reads freed from more service, not just freed from service or freed from prison. It read freed from more service. And to me, this felt like I had completed my national service, that there's nothing else to do, that my part was complete. So without going into the background of the other people in this, like the president, her political leanings, the boss of the place, his political leanings, and so on, without making this personal, I will have to say that this was the biggest mix-up of my life, biggest foobar I have ever been in. Afterwards, we complained to the United Nations High Court of Human Rights and said that we need some kind of compensation for this mess and such, but they were refusing to comment on it directly, but they asked me for more papers relating to it, so I sent them the papers, but still, nothing. So from where I stand, I did 11 days of military service, about 3 months of civil service, and then about 2 months of prison. When I left the prison, I bought 2 giant strawberry cakes for all the other prisoners and nailed my release form to the wall of the prison building. And I left. I didn't eat the cakes myself. I felt like it would be a better thing. It was me. So I don't really know what to say about this case, but that in short is how my military service went. So that's basically all for this podcast, and I'll pick an interesting topic next time, like something similar on perhaps a spiritual note to the story. When I was under the perhaps 30th day or so, I saw while lying in bed and having a heartbeat of maybe 140 and a blood pressure of maybe 80, I saw this classical reaper standing above me with this, keep calling them hedge trimmers, but they are scythe, yeah, with a standard death artifact, the scythe. And it was calming. It was weird to see that the hunger had created such a vision, that I was so close to death at that time, but it was interesting. By the 25th day, I had eaten, on the 25th day to the 32nd day, I ate a total of a banana and a plate of porridge, I think, the entire time, and this was after they told me that it would probably go to the president. On the 0 to 25th day, I only drank sodas, I ate nothing. If I had only drank water the entire time, I would have almost certainly died, because 30 days is a long time. On the 3rd day, I had an incredibly strong sense of eating a Mars bar. I still remember being in the prison with the other inmate and having a dream of Mars bar. Just wow, that taste after you've gone without food for a long time, and you just get hit by the taste. So that was basically it for me with all the interesting highlights. I don't really know what else to say about it, but could have gone better. So yeah, that's all about the service. And I'm not a pacifist in the sense that I believe there should be no military. That's basically impossible. I'm an anti-militarist in the sense that I believe that the military should be a last resort. It should exist. It should be defunded whenever possible, but it should exist. I'm not against the idea of signing for military service somewhere else at some point. But as far as I'm concerned, my service to the nation is completed. So that's all. Next episode will be something else.